All right, I'm back with tutorial B for Violinists Don't Stop Believing. We just made our way through tutorial A, and we end with that big slide down, right? Now, a lot of this stuff you're about to see here is similar in the left hand, but it's kind of a very different feel to it. So what we're going to do in this case is we're going to talk a little bit more about style and a little bit less about the actual technique. Now, if you have technical questions, let me know, and I'll probably try to hit some of that stuff at the end of this tutorial. Anyway, here we are at rehearsal letter B. And you notice that grab and slide happens at both the end of section A and the end of section B, and it's a really neat transitional tool that I've been working with for a while now. Okay, so we have some different things here. Now, the left hand, very, very similar. If you go through the left hand very slowly, forget about the bowing, forget about the rhythms, forget about the articulations, and just look at it. It's the same, right? It's the same as section A. That's a really important thing to do, by the way, when you're learning anything, is assess right away what stuff you've already learned, so you're not like spending the same time reinventing the wheel each time, right? Okay, so section B has a totally different feel to it. Section A, I'll just do a little quick version of that. It's kind of a smooth feeling, you know, at the beginning of the journey when the piano is kind of rolling and rocking. I just love that sound. Now, I immediately wanted to make a change to this, kind of make it my own take on this. Is let's rock it up a bit in section B. So I started adding this chop, and that's this rhythmic element. So it's I wanted it to sound more rhythmic, like there's a drummer or somebody maybe hitting a snare or like a rim shot or something like that. So you'll see in the music that it's marked with an X in those spaces. The X means to use a percussive thing with the bow. Now, a lot of violinists do that, the chop. There's some fantastic violinists out there. Daryl Anger, Tracy Silverman, a bunch of just really wonderful players that use the chop all the time. Now, the chop that I'm doing is similar in the bow hand, where you're kind of using it's kind of a dead weight on the violin. But one thing that I really love to do is to voice the chop with my left hand. So you'll notice, actually, everyone's always looking at my right hand, my bow hand, when I'm doing the chop. But watch what I'm doing with my left hand. I'm deadening the string just a little bit. Now you can play around with that, what string you chop on and where you chop with the bow and where your left hand is during the chop. That sounds very different to me. It almost sounds messy. And that sounds like it's got a little bit more punch, which is why sometimes I go up there and, you know, I can't promise how I'm going to do this every single time, because a lot of what I do, of course, is improv and in the moment. But as you're experimenting for your own best sound, definitely try chopping with your fingers on different strings at different positions. And it doesn't have to be very exact, of course. It's kind of it's more of an effect, right? So I actually, for the up bow chops in the second measure after B, I go down, and then I actually throw the bow a little, which is in classical music, of course, kind of a big no-no, right? Now, another thing to consider while we're doing all this, we're chopping, we got the rhythm, we've got this kind of harmony, which is the, right? And then there's a melody line weaving throughout all this, and that's always the fun thing about doing this alone. Now, people email me all the time. They're asking me, you know, what about this version or that version? Do I like this person's cover or that person's cover? of a rock and roll song. And the truth be told, I don't love violin covers that are just the voice part, the vocal solo on violin. It doesn't sound that interesting to me. So I love trying to figure out how to play the harmony, how to play the melody, and how to play the drums, how to play the bass line all at once. And of course, there's only so many things you can do at one time, but you need to know which you're doing. So what I want you to focus on at all times is, what am I trying to bring out right now? So you can see I'm very concerned about the harmony and the drums. That E is melody, so I need to bring that melody out, and then I go back to the harmony. Drums, melody, harmony. You hear how they keep changing? So you really need to think about what you want your audience to hear, and you need to focus on bringing that out, okay? I'm going to go through this slowly one time for all of you. If you've gotten this far, maybe you've been a little frustrated. If you're an advanced player, you're probably already through it. Not super difficult, right? But if you're a beginner or beginning intermediate player, you might want a little bit of extra help right here. So here we go. So it's, in fact, I'm going to make sure my hands are really visible. Here we go. Violin's getting out of tune as I do this, and sometimes that happens when you chop. You're putting kind of a lot of pressure on these strings that maybe they're not used to. So good thing to tune up really carefully before you play. Chop, kind of work your violin over, then retune again. I should probably take my own advice, which I will do before I head into section C. If you have any questions about this tutorial, section B of Don't Stop Believin', Violinists Don't Stop Believin', send an email to adam@adamviolin.com. Make sure you check in regularly on the Facebook page. Upload your video. When you're done with that section, take a video. Don't go through the whole piece by yourself. There's no sense in doing that right now. Upload the video so that you get some instruction along the way. I'm there for you to talk you through it. There's lots of other wonderful musicians who may have a little bit more advanced ability on the violin and will offer their suggestions too. And remember, there's not just one right way of doing this. The right way is the way that makes you happy and the way that makes your audience happy. So have fun with it. Let me know if you need any help, and enjoy.